So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the different ways that you can do the finishing and construction of the skirt. And I'm telling you, once you get the fitting and the cutting done, the construction is a breeze, especially if you choose an elastic waistband. So let's come over here and take a look at some of the things that we need to know about finishing. First of all, if you have a serger, that is the easiest way to finish your seams, edges, and it also will be the cleanest and fastest, and it's gonna be all in one take. You will cut the fabric and stitch the edge, and it'll be nice and flat. If you don't have a serger, which I know many don't have a serger, and especially if you're starting out with just new sewing, you may not want to try to get a serger and learn how to do the serger and all the things that go with that, because it is a little more complex. Then you do have some things on your machine that you can use to make an edge that will be a finish. And you do have to have some finishes on most fabrics because they're going to fray. So here is a stitch that most of the sewing machines have. It's an Overcast Stitch, and it'll have a special foot with it. Be sure if you use this stitch that you use the foot that they recommend, because that has a little tongue, and when you zigzag over top of the tongue, it sort of holds the fabric flat, and that's why you use that. Now this stitch right here is not just a zigzag stitch, but it's a three-step zigzag stitch. And so what it does is it zigzags, making straight stitches in between the zigzags. And notice how nice and flat that is. And actually, if you will use that instead of a zigzag stitch, you will have a little less puckering on the edge. Now, of course, you can also, this is the old-fashioned way, you can use your pinking shears. But I do have to say, there's a lot of people who use these pinking shears, and they have a nice flat seam and it looks real good. So that's a very easy way, but I will suggest that you get a nice pair of pinking shears. And don't get a cheap pair because they don't sharpen very easily. So spend a little money and get a nice pair of pinking shears if you're going to use those. Now here's a product that you could use it's really a nice easy way to put an edge to the seam, to the fabric. And this is called Seams Grate, and all you do, it has a little natural curve. It's a piece of tricot, and it's in a strip. It's cut in a strip, and all you're going to do is just stitch, roll it onto the edge of the fabric, and stitch right along the edge, so you're stitching it down. And that's a nice, clean, and very thin finish. And then a lot of the very expensive garments that you will look at in the stores will actually have this finish on them. And what they have done is they have turned the edge of the fabric down, and then they have stitched down the very, very edge, very, very narrow. And to do that, it's a little bit easier for you if you will use a foot that has a little bit of a, it's called an edge stitch foot, and it has a little guide right in the center. And when you lay that guide right up against that edge of the fold, and then you move your needle position over, it will give you exactly what you need for being right on the mark, and it'll be straight, which we all love to be straight, right? So that's your finishing, and I know that you can pick out one of those, and it will be easy. And if you have a knit, you may not have to do a thing, because knits don't ravel.